Hello everyone and welcome to the SPS 22 live in Nuremberg. I am here at the OPC Foundation booth where it's all about the open standard for industrial communication. It's still quiet in here, but people are slowly coming in, and my mission today is to find out what this is all about, what the people are working on, what are current technology developments and what is coming in the future. And what is Siemens' role in here? Now, who can I start better with? I'm really happy that I bumped into the president of the OPC Foundation, Stefan. Really nice to meet you here. Great booth you have here at the SPS this year.
Welcome on our booth and thanks for having me.
I'm curious, can you tell a bit more about what the OPC Foundation actually is and how does it come together with the OPC UA Standard?
Sure. I'd like to touch a little bit the history of the OPC Foundation because everything started 1996, so a long time ago.
Wow.
The first OPC UA products have been raised up later, about the year 2006. But let's dive a little bit about the OPC Foundation itself, starting 96. It started as an initiative mainly driven from the US, but even at that time, Siemens was the only European founding company and has been since that on the board of director, also acting with the vice president on the OPC Foundation board of director. By the way, the situation changed since that days. Again, at that time, only one European company was on the board of director. Today, half of the members of the board of directors are European-based. This shows the impact for the digitalization. But again, about the OPC Foundation, it is a worldwide organization. We scale around the world with different with vendors, suppliers, end users, universities. We are constantly growing since that day. Right now we are crossing nearly 900 members.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That's
we have
amazing.
Static growth. Even during the pandemic, we are proud that we didn't lose companies. Instead, we are still growing. And it's sometimes I say really it's a kind of a spirit where everybody works together in a like a neutral ground. It is easy to come together at the OPC Foundation, and even competing customers, competing companies, they find a way how to work together and work together to solve the challenges, because all companies have understood nobody can solve all the challenges on their own. This
You
is
always need a team,
no
right?
longer the mission, and this is why I'm really proud to be able to represent the OPC Foundation as a president meanwhile. By the way, I started my career in '95 in a company, and I remember that I have been at the founding German place. I think it has been in Karlsruhe, because I remember that when I was super young, I know Karl-Heinz Deiritzbacher from Siemens. I think he retired meanwhile, but he was on stage, and Michael Vetter also from Siemens. He was leading OPC Europe for years. So Siemens had a super active role in that day.
From the very beginning already, right?
From the very beginning,
That's
absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
So we are centrally organized. Not that there is the one headquarter where all people work. That has never happened. From a legal point of view, it's a US-based organization. The headquarters in Scottsdale, Arizona. But from a point of how people work together, we have been always completely working together in a connected world, because people from Asia, Japan, US, Europe come together and work. They meet sometimes to start new initiatives, new working groups, but the main work is always virtual, working together in web conferences since begin, right? So even inside the pandemic, it was not a real problem for us, because we have been used to that working mode before.
Okay, cool. And you're all coming together here at some point at the SPS in Nuremberg.
Absolutely, yeah. Let me talk a little bit about the technology, how it started, right? I mentioned the first specification has been available of OPC UA in the year 2006. What has been the idea of the OPC Foundation? It started to have a standardized plug-and-play mechanism between PLC controllers and SCADA visualization systems. What younger people like you would know as a USB connector, because you have not been aware that in older, previous days, a computer had dedicated different connectors. The keyboard has a different connector than the mouse, right?
Yeah.
You can't remember that days. I'm old and I'm able to remember that days.
Actually, I was only born when you raised all this idea.
Here we go. So for you, a computer had always USB connectors, but there has been a different time, I tell you. And so having this idea of a USB connector where you plug it together and now transfer this to software and how to exchange data between different systems from different vendors in different layers in the automation pyramid. This is exactly the basic idea of OPC UA. And there has been some previous versions, but OPC UA, the standard we are talking today, has been really established, and first specification has been available in 2006. The first products have been available in 2007. I was proudly part of that. But for example, also there, Siemens, together with Beckhoff, had the first products in the year 2007. I remember that even Siemens had the worldwide first certified product of OPC UA in the year 2007-8. And also there you see a very active role from the beginning. It has been grown dramatically. If you will have some more pictures later on the booth, you see that today it's a de facto standard available in all kind of PLCs. Yeah, and there are reasons for it. And the reasons are, if you do modern communication in an industrial world, you need some factors. It has to be an open standard. It has to be an international standard. It has to be completely secure by design. Just exchanging data and say, oh wow, I received them, cool, is no longer enough. It must be, well, first of all, you must describe what kind of data you're exchanging. This is critically important. In the old days, in my days, you really, with a paper, agreed on a contract between the sender and receiver on the data.
Yeah.
Today, it's machine readable. You can immediately, like USB, you plug a printer in and the computer knows I'm a printer, right? This is happening behind the curtain. So description modeling capabilities is built in OPC UA. And the combination of this is my data set, what I can share, combined with secure transport on multiple different transport mechanisms, this is one of the keys. We are so proud that it really scales from small centers up to cloud and back. An absolutely key factor for the today's world where even cloud vendors have adapted OPC UA. If you talk to major cloud vendors, AWS, Microsoft, they have adapted OPC UA into their systems. Cool. And so today from the controllers we can move data directly up into their systems and back.
That's quite impressive, to be honest, to see all the development from the past into the future. And I'm wondering, what does it look like today? How did it develop so far? I think I'm going to ask another colleague that I spotted at the booth, right? Alex, are you going to come over?
Sure.
Are you going to give some insights about, we've heard from Stefan, what's the history behind, how did it actually start? Can you tell us a bit more about how did it develop so far until today?
Absolutely, I'm happy to. So basically where we are, or where everything started, just as Stefan pointed out, is really here and the layer between the controller and the MES SCADA system. So this is basically the traditional start of everything. This happens with something that we call a client-server architecture. So basically always the top layer is asking for something and then the controller sends the data it has been asked for. So this is basically like state of the art. This is something where you see client-server communication with OPC UA happening today everywhere around the world in many facilities. And this is where OPC UA is very settled. So this is like a given fact that you do that with OPC UA these days. Of course, this is not just it. Since then, OPC UA has grown into other regions, and So you're not only finding OPC UA integrated in controller, but actually you can also find them in sensors. So for example, temperature sensors, but also power meters. And Siemens actually has like 2 power meters which have a native OPC UA integration. So you can directly pull out information about what is the voltage, how much power is consumed by a machine, for example. So this is quite interesting. You'll also find that in other sensors like barcode readers, RFID readers. By the way, Siemens also has OPC UA service integrated in their RF series. So the RF600, for example, that has an OPC UA server.
Cool.
So you really see that this is growing in HMI systems, of course, like I said, was one of the very first ones. And in the meantime, the technology has been extended with another architecture, which we call Publish Subscriber, PubSub, OPC UA PubSub. And there are different flavors. And this came from the fact that OPC UA is actually growing into different regions. So right now we were basically just touching the area here, but with this PubSub architecture, we can now suddenly go into the field, and there are certain activities happening on the field level. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but for example, stuff for the process world, where we are partner of the Ethernet APL consortium, that is really looking into how to connect those field level devices, but also on the top layers. So when you look at the cloud connectivity, that is also an area where you need a publish subscriber architecture rather than a client server architecture. So we have different flavors to also address those use cases.
Cool, really great. And I've seen over there that there is a lot more about OPC UA in the cloud. I think I'm gonna catch up with you later about that, if you're fine with it.
Yeah.
I hope I see you then. But for now, what I'm also wondering, what is Siemens showing here around the OPC Foundation booth?
Yeah,
What's the role?
So Siemens is a very active company here in the OPC Foundation, and actually we just touched like the field level communication, right? And that is something that is just currently going on, and I'm sure you're going to spend a little bit time at that point, because Siemens is one of the companies who sent a lot of experts to this extension, and that resulted in a demonstrator that we are actually showing here in the booth. And if you walk over to the demonstrator, you will actually see your Siemens colleagues explaining the technology and how everything is put together.
That's great. I would say then, let's go and talk to the colleagues. I love to see this kind of collaboration out here. So let's go and talk to them. Thanks a lot, Alex.
Sure.
Hey Peter, great to see you here at the booth. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks.
It's a really great booth and a great atmosphere. Now, before we jump over to the Siemens colleagues to find out more about the demonstrator of OPC UA FX, I would like to know from you, what exactly is OPC UA FX?
So OPC UA FX stands for extensions to the OPC UA framework in order to meet additional use cases and requirements for the field level. So we work on different aspects that are relevant for field level communications. This is, for example, including functional safety, motion control, remote IOs, the communication to instrumentation devices. It's about deterministic transport. So you already can see this is a broad range of additional features that we are working on. We have established working groups on that. They are part of the so-called FLC initiative, which stands for Field Level Communications. So it's an activity that first concentrates on the horizontal communication, controller to controller, but then also covering controller to device, including device to device. So we have different use cases we are covering.
Okay, cool. And what's now the current status and what's the next big thing we can expect?
First of all, we are really happy and also somehow proud that just before the SPS show we have released our first specifications on OPC UA FX, so this is good news.
Cool.
We have done a lot of prototyping to ensure high quality of the specifications, and this also leads us to that multi-vendor demo that we will have a closer look on later on. And then the exciting next step is we use the existing concepts to now look more closer at the controller to device use case. This is, so to say, the next project phase.
Okay.
And we are excited to work on that in the future.
Okay, cool. Let's see what happens there. I'm quite curious already, and I'm also curious to see how this demonstrator actually works. So now let's go and see the Siemens colleagues. They should tell us a little bit more about it, right? Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
I'm surrounded by quite a lot of innovative technologies around here, but I'm still missing the experts. They can tell me a bit more about what's actually happening here. But I have spotted Stefan and Georg already over there, and I'm sure you both can tell me a bit more about it. Would you like to join me here?
Sure, Bianca.
Hi, how are you today? How is it going at the SPS?
Pretty good.
Good. Really good first day.
Yeah,
Talking to many people, hopefully?
definitely.
Great. So we're talking about controller-to-controller communication on the field level right now with OPC UA FX. Now, I'm quite curious at the beginning, where do we actually come from? What value does it add, and how can our customers actually benefit from it?
Yeah, Bianca, think about up to now, someone creating, for example, a production line had to take the machine from several machine builders or modular units, depending on the automation company you come from. Had to use them, had to program communication into each of the machines to connect them to each other.
Each individually?
Each individual
Okay.
machine. So it was a hard task for the one building a production line to make it easy, connectable, to easily connect the machines.
And that's like Stefan said in the beginning, you have some kind of USB connection between machines. So in fact, it's not USB, but it's the same functionality. You have a universal connector between all these PLCs, which you can use to connect your machines. And that's the benefit of OPC UA FX.
Okay.
For machine-to-machine
So it doesn't matter which vendor is on the field, they can still be connected together and communicate with each other, right?
The interesting point is that we separated the task what the machine builder has to provide the USB connector from the task that the one installing the production line has to connect the machines from each other. And that's the huge benefit what FX brings for controller-to-controller communication.
Okay.
This helps our customers with the challenges we have regarding flexibility. So we are more and more talking about flexibility in production. We're talking about sustainability, and there you buy machines. You buy a machine which can do a task. You buy many of them, but the products you want to produce with them, they change over time.
Yeah.
And so you need to change your production layout. You need to combine different machines to fulfill a task. And as Georg mentioned, before FX, there's a lot of effort there. You need to program the communication, you need to program them with each other, and we want to simplify that. So like you build your machine, you equip it with a USB connector, and like at home, if you take a printer, you connect the USB cable and it works.
Yeah.
But you do not need a different cable for a printer of brand A and brand B. And that's the idea
Yeah,
here.
cool. Yeah. Sounds super easy and quick. I'd love to see that. But what exactly can we see here at the demo wall? What kind of use case do we have here?
One thing I like to add, because you say it's super easy.
Yeah.
That is from my point of view, or from our point of view, the goal.
Yeah.
From the customer point of view, it should be easy. So we will later show that connecting machines is as easy as drawing lines. The technical background, that's much more to do, but that should not care for our customers.
Exactly.
And the exciting thing is, I think, that you make it so easy, but actually it's quite hard in the industry to do that, right? Because I'm thinking about, for us as a consumer, it is quite normal, and we are used to having, for example, an iPhone and a Samsung phone or whatever brand you want to take, and they can still communicate with each other. You can call your friend whatever phone the person has,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
And it's so super easy, and everyone is just used to that. But in the industry, it's quite complex, but you are working on a solution to make it even as easy as it is for us consumers, for example.
Yeah, but I think if you look at the consumers, why is it that easy? Because there are standardization bodies behind all these vendors and the suppliers. They agreed on a standard for example, mobile communication.
Yep.
They implement it, and then it works for you. So it
Yeah.
was also a long way for them to
Yeah.
achieve, and we do the same.
Yeah. The same as here. What we have is we have a specification now out since yesterday, exactly.
Yay! Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks. And with that specification, a vendor is able, or a controller vendor is able to implement the specification inside his controllers. And so a customer is able to use that and have it ease of use.
That's
so
great.
there is work behind it,
Yeah.
but the work is hidden from the customer. No longer the customer has to do it.
Yeah, so the work is on your side, but the customer
Yeah.
can relax,
Exactly.
lay back.
As usual.
Yeah, that's great.
As it is for the iPhone, as it is for the
Yeah,
Android.
sure. Yeah, cool. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
So now back to the use case here. What can we see here? What exactly can the booth visitors experience here?
Actually, what you see here is 4 lines of controllers. We up here and down here. We have controllers from different brands, from ABB to Kepware or Siemens. And we have in the middle, we have a bunch of switches or bridges, Ethernet bridges, including TSN switches, including 5G routers going over to here, to that 5G component here. So what we see here is a production line for bottle filling.
Bottle
And maybe
filling.
Stefan talks about that because he was involved in the prototyping.
So the idea is we've set up a production line, a so-called bottle filling machine. So we say, okay, we have machines which fill the bottle, we have machines which put a cap on it. It's quite complicated to set up here in real. So we reduce it and we say, okay, each controller you can see here, it represents a machine. So it is virtually, it's a machine, but in fact we only have the controllers here. And they can fulfill, each one can fulfill a specific task. And what we see later on the dashboard is you can combine them what you want. You can say, okay, I want to have a brown bottle filled with beer, put on a yellow cap and a green label, or something like that. So we simplified it, and you can combine it, you draw the line, and then the machines are connected. That's what we see here.
Okay.
And what we also see behind you is that there are also additional use cases, or let's say new use cases, which can be fulfilled with OPC UA FX. So for example, here you see the use case of AGVs. So we have more and more AGVs running around in our factories. And with OPC UA FX we can have mobile communication over, for example, 5G, but also supporting safety. Because when you talk about AGVs and you have people in the factory, you always need safety.
Important topic.
That is technical, it is new things which are enabled by FX, and they enable interesting new use cases in the factory and help our customers optimize their production, as you can see there in the video.
Great. You picked a bottle filling case here, but this could also be transferred to other cases, right?
It could be any use case, for example, woodworking machines, line machines for woodworking. It could be production lines like if you have single products. We build single products by order, combining different machines to produce a specific product, and some minutes later another product also could be used for that.
Okay.
It could be used for any type of communication between PLCs, between controllers.
Yeah. Now we've just seen some pictures over here showing the bottle filling.
Yeah, it's run by
It's
order.
always running. Okay, cool. And so now what's the current status? What is Siemens now working on here, and what can we expect in the future?
What you can see here on the wall is we have prototype implementations of OPC UA FX capable controllers by all the vendors you see here. That was in parallel to the specification work. So while Georg and others were writing the specification, teams were implementing it to check whether it works, and also to point out the benefit for the customer. And that's what you see here. So each controller implements a pre-release version as a prototype, and we show here that it actually works.
Okay.
It's a demo, it's not a video.
Yeah, that's cool to see it live. And one question to that, was it only Siemens doing the prototyping, or was it together with the OPC Foundation members as well?
If you look at the wall here, you see B&R, Rexroth, Omron, Mitsubishi,
They
just
were
to
all
name some
involved
of
in the
them.
prototyping.
All
stuff.
involved.
Cool.
What we see here is also just flow by. The labels, what you see on the wall, all were involved in prototyping and delivered a prototype to that demo wall here to show that it works interoperable between different vendors. It's not only Siemens, it's all of them. Cooperated.
Yes, basically, the prototyping consists of two parts. For example, my team implemented the prototype on our PLC. That's what we did on our own. And then we had so-called IOPs or plugfests on a regular basis where we met. In the first phase, we met virtually due to the COVID restrictions. But luckily, over the last year, we could also meet in person. And we put it together, we plugged it, we debugged it, and made it actually working. Because it's always the same.
Nice.
People read the specification, people interpret it, implement it, and then you have to check whether it actually works.
Yeah.
And a nice thing for me as a specification writer, or as one of the specification writers, it was a good feedback from the prototyping group to detect flaws in the specification.
Yeah.
So to understand, okay, this paragraph was not written exact enough to understand it. Or to interpret it or to make
so
it work.
you always got direct feedback and different iterations, and this is how it developed to what it is today,
and
right?
That also takes time, but therefore the release specification, we think it's well to be implemented and it should not have any major flaws in it.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Cross the fingers.
Yeah, but this again emphasizes that we need the teamwork, we need the feedback, we need the collaboration to get to that what we have today to bring innovations further, right?
Yes.
Cool. And now what's coming next? What's the next steps?
Yes, Georg said, the specification was released yesterday. There's ongoing work regarding the test specification because as always people need to implement that, and then you need testing and certification to ensure this interoperability. And as OPC Foundation always does, you have the certification aspect, but we will continue to have plugfests. So companies implementing it will meet and check the implementation against each other, so that at the end of the day, it's same as USB. You take it home, you connect it, and it actually works. And the vendors behind that, they check that it can work, they certified it. So that is ongoing work. We have certification for sure. All of the companies here and many others will implement it or will have to implement it. And that is next. And even we have many features already covered in the specification. I'm quite confident that we will find new things. We will find add-on features like USB. We're currently, I don't know, at version 4.0. So features will be added, things will be improved whenever we find things that are necessary. So that is the idea here.
Great. Thank you so much for giving us insights into this whole innovation topics. I'm quite curious to see what's coming and to see how we can create a benefit for our customers out of that, right?
Okay. And if you want, we can also show you a live demo.
Oh yeah.
Sure, I would love to. Let's do it.
Okay, so what you see here, this is the visualization of this wall. So as I said in the beginning, we have different controllers, each controller representing a machine, and each implements OPC UA FX. And then we have here a graphical tool. It's again a prototype, and as I said earlier, we want to have connecting machines as easy as drawing lines, and that's what you can do here. You just put your machines on this screen, you can just use drag and drop. You see automatically which interfaces they have, where they can connect, and then you can draw lines. I already did this here. You draw the line, you click on Establish Connection, then all the magic happens. Everything which is specified in FX is running, and then your machines are working with each other. And if you, for example, say here, okay, I want to close the connections, my batch is done, I will do something new, then it is removed, and I can draw new lines, set up a different production line, click on Establish Connection, takes a few seconds, and the production is up and running. So that is the showcase we want to show here. That's the showcase we showed our customers yesterday here on the fair, and we got pretty good feedback.
Yeah? Was it good?
Yeah.
That's great to hear. Well, quite impressive. It's really magic, as you said, what's happening here. I love to see that. And I'm curious to see what other customers are telling today and tomorrow here at the SPS fair. So now,
That's good.
Great. Thanks a lot. Do you have anything to add from your side?
No.
No?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Stefan,
much.
Georg,
Have a nice
nice
day.
to have you here. I'm gonna get over to the other colleagues again because now I'm still curious about hearing more about OPC UA in the cloud. I think there are some colleagues over there on the other side that can tell me more about it. But thank you both for giving me so many insights, and see you later. From the field to the cloud, I have Stefan again here with me. Thanks
Hello.
for having you here again. We already heard at the beginning that bringing OPC UA into the cloud is a big topic for you here as well, and also here at the booth that we see here. Stefan, why is it so important to bring OPC UA into the cloud?
Well, first, let's recap how we started, and then we like to transfer this into cloud scenarios.
Yeah, sure.
Remember the vision that we wanted to have a plug and produce standard, like a USB connector between PLC controllers and SCADA systems. So the original idea and the vision of the OPC Foundation was, how can we define a standard to transfer standardized information, standardized by other organization bodies, from robot expert, domain expert, in a complete secure way, end-to-end, from controllers up into all levels of the automation pyramid and back. This is the vision how we started, independent from vendors, independent from operating systems, independent from transport protocols. With cloud, it is that in our daily life, you are saving your pictures from your cell phone in a cloud scenarios.
Yes. Which is always full.
Which is always, well, but the cloud is scaling automatically. That's exactly, the cloud is scaling. Yeah. That's a major benefit of cloud scenarios. And this is also for the industrial automation world. We are collecting more and more data. We are analyzing data. We try to find benefits, how to optimize the process. And therefore we want to have unlimited storage capabilities and computing capabilities. And this is why cloud is a topic. Obviously, interoperability between vendors, independent from domains, independent from markets, also should scale up into cloud scenarios. Yeah. The dream of the automation suppliers would be have one standard which is adopted by all cloud vendors. Otherwise, the horror scenario would be that if you sell your PLC to a machine builder, and the machine builder has to connect to 5 different cloud vendors and need 5 different cloud protocols and adaptions. Yeah. This is not plug and produce. So what we want is, and where you see me so much smiling, I'm so proud that we, the OT companies, the OT world, the automation companies, are so unified and convinced on OPC UA that now, meanwhile, IT cloud giants also adapted OPC UA. I'm super proud what we see here, that major cloud vendors, AWS, Google, IBM, Microsoft Azure, Siemens, MindSphere and SAP all have confirmed already in early 2022 to support OPC UA PubSub over MQTT to the cloud, which gives the capability, the freedom that you have PLCs directly pushing data in one format which fits and is understandable by all cloud providers.
Open, right? Yeah.
What I'm really proud on is what you see here on this side, that in 2021 we only had 2 vendors. It was the Siemens PLC and the Beckhoff PLC have been the first 2 controller companies pushing this standard. And last year, 2021, we only had Microsoft Azure understanding this information and being able to display information on their dashboard. 1 year later only, we have now 18 companies where you see all the logos here.
Oh yeah.
And all these companies are now pushing the same information to cloud, but, and this is where you see me again smiling, the next cloud giant, AWS, Amazon Web Service, also adapted OPC UA PubSub over MQTT. Wow. So now 2 giants have implemented this, and you see dashboards from both AWS and Microsoft Azure. So others will follow. This is my feeling. I realized that, for example, Siemens MindSphere made a hackathon with all companies to really play around already. So we can also market that next year, and it will become the cloud interoperability standard. It is much easier for the complete world to have a standard from field to cloud, but you will hear later on from experts much more, because the so-called cloud initiative has overall 3 topics. Number 1 is, we call it cloud library. It's a repository of information models. You should get much more information by experts on that.
Okay.
The second is, how do clouds talk to each other and exchange information? And then you should also dive in and get more information about how is the data exchange between controllers to the cloud and back, right? So we have 3 major topics which we unified together in the cloud initiative. Let's get more experts to learn about that in
definitely.
detail.
I'd love to hear more about it. Thank you, Stefan, for these insights. I'm quite impressed about this big step you took, and you somehow built the path for even more exciting, innovative future with this topic. So I'm curious to see what's coming in the future.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Let's talk to the experts. I'm curious to hear more about the 3 different fields. Thank you.
Perfect.
Said and done. I have the expert here right by my side. Hey, Alex, again.
Hi again.
Nice to have you here again. So we'll talk about the first area that Stefan just touched upon. We talk about the interoperability for cloud connectivity, right?
Exactly.
So I'm curious to find out, how do we actually bring all the data from the field into the cloud? I see you use the MQTT protocol here. Is this the only thing you do, or what else is there?
Yeah, well, so the problem with the connectivity is that MQTT is not enough, right? So a lot of companies are supporting MQTT as a protocol, but MQTT is payload agnostic. That basically is like you take an envelope and anybody can write something inside or put something inside the envelope, right? This is not standardized. You could put in a letter, I can just put in like a flyer or something, whatever. So the receiver side really doesn't know what they're getting. So you need to always program the receiver side to understand what's being sent.
Okay.
So MQTT by itself, unfortunately, is not enough. You need to add something. And now the question is, who is adding that, right?
Okay.
So you just learned that there are a lot of OT companies and there are several IT companies, right? So cloud versus the automation level. Now the problem here is, if the cloud vendors would say, okay, this is the way I want you to send the data, that would mean that all the manufacturers on the shop floor, they would need to, they would need to integrate exactly their definition. Now the big problem here is they cannot control it. So who tells you that once you integrated it into your device, the cloud vendor is not telling you, now we changed a few things, so now you need to update, right? So you don't want to do that. And exactly the same happens in the opposite direction. It's even worse because there are more automation vendors than cloud vendors. So just imagine the cloud vendors would need to integrate specific mappings for all the different device manufacturers, for all those 1,000 little devices. This is not going to happen, right? This is not a solution. In addition, they have the same issue. They cannot guarantee or cannot be guaranteed or influenced that the device manufacturers are not breaking the definition. So you need a standard. And that is what OPC UA does. So what we are defining here is OPC UA over MQTT defines the encoding, the mapping in the MQTT payload. And now you get the real interoperability, because now you can configure the data which is being sent. The receiver side can automatically understand it based on the mapping and the definitions from the standard. And now you get like real interoperability that everybody can rely on and do that on the automation level as well as on the cloud level.
So do I actually get a transparent envelope somehow, or an ever open envelope, or how can I imagine it?
Not really. You can just imagine that you basically have a standardized form that you put into the envelope, right? So it always has like a title, it always has somebody that sends that send the data. So all of these things are just standardized, like a standardized letter. This is the way that you can imagine it.
Quite exciting. And what exactly can we see here? What are you showing here at the booth?
Yeah, so this is the interesting thing. This is nothing that is like brand new and hasn't been there yet, right? So we already have devices which are publishing based on exactly that definition. So this is a live demonstrator that we put together where we have several devices publishing their data in OPC UA over MQTT format through a public broker. That then the dashboards, namely the dashboards from Microsoft Azure as well as from AWS, they are receiving the data and showing it in the dashboard. The interesting thing here is that you see two different flavors depending on the exact use case, because if you look at OPC UA over MQTT, you can either do an encoding in JSON, which is like text-based, or you can do it in UA binary, which is not easy to read by a human, but it is somehow more efficient and it allows other use cases. So we see both encodings here, and we see different kind of devices. So if you look here, you'll find controller-style devices like from Siemens, from Backhoff, and from Phoenix Contact and Vago. But you also see like actual applications. This is a weighing device which publishes OPC UA over MQTT in the JSON encoding. And the beauty here is you can basically just turn the scale and change the pressure on the plate, and that is then directly shown in the dashboard. You see pills which are publishing basically RFID information, but that's not it. You see also KUKA, which connected a robot to the dashboard, as well as Trumpf, which are laser cutting machines. And they're also publishing in OPC UA over MQTT to the same dashboard. And that is basically what we see here.
So it's all happening already. It's all reality already, right?
It is working. So when we're opening, for example, one of the machines that are publishing here, you see the dashboard showing the values that are being received. You see exactly the same here in the AWS booth. And if we just turn off the lamp, what you will see is that the data point goes to offline, and so you see this is like a real life demonstrator, and we're very happy to have that here on the booth.
Nice. How are people reacting to that? Are they keen on finding out more? Do they see the future here?
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the frequent questions that we're really getting is MQTT enough? I'm doing MQTT, so why should I do OPC UA? So this is like always the thing that you need to explain that. And
you have the answer to that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point here. Yeah, cool, really great. Now, how do we proceed with all of this? What are the next steps with MQTT, and how do we get started?
This is a very good question, and I'd like to show you over here, if you just walk to the so-called OPC UA IIoT Starter Kit, which is something quite interesting. We put that together from the OPC Foundation. This is an open source project, which you'll find on GitHub. You basically just would need to scan the QR code and it gets you directly to it. And the interesting thing here is that the Starter Kit shows you how all of this works, right? So it shows you how to get a publisher running, how to get a subscriber running, how to identify the publisher. So different use cases are addressed. The interesting thing is it only takes you about an hour to set it up, and it will give you like a really good overview on what is actually happening, what needs to be done. And so this is a very good starting point for somebody who wants to start playing with the technology.
That's cool. So you take the customer by the hand and show how it's actually working, and it's, as I understand, it's quite easy to implement it and quick.
Well, absolutely, though there's one thing that we need to highlight. Of course, the Starter Kit is using a library. It's the .NET standard library of the OPC Foundation. So there's a lot of happening under the hood. But with using the Starter Kit and following the instructions and all the examples, you will understand how everything works. You see the data messages being sent. But like I said, there's a lot happening under the hood.
And how can people get the Starter Kit? Can they just... here they can scan the QR code, but if people are not here, they can just follow the website, or is it somewhere?
Just go to GitHub and search for the OPC UA IoT Starter Kit, or search for the OPC Foundation and you'll find it.
Cool, great. So you already touched upon the topic of library, and I think that's also a great topic for developing all this OPC UA and the cloud topics further. And do we have an expert here that can tell us a bit more about it? I guess so, right?
Absolutely. So whenever it comes to like getting the data, that is just one piece. You need to get the semantics. You need to do something useful with the data. And I'm very happy. If you just move on, you'll find Eric Paessler from Microsoft that can help.
Well, hi Eric.
Hi.
Great to have you here, my expert for the next topic.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, cool to see you. Well, let's talk about the cloud library that we touched upon with Alex just right before our talk right here.
Yeah.
Now, I think we're all familiar with libraries. Some may go there and get some books. How does it work with the cloud library?
It's very similar.
Yeah?
So the cloud library really is an online store of OPC UA information models. So obviously an information model is like the metadata that sits in your machine, and a lot of people want to get that information also in the cloud. That gives you many advantages. For example, with the OPC UA PubSub messages, you get some metadata, but not the entire OPC UA information model from the machine that you're connected to. So if you want the entire thing, you need to go to the cloud library.
So you bring all the information from different parts together in one place.
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And access is free, so you can log in, create an account, free of charge.
Okay.
And it's just uacloudlibrary.opcfoundation.org, so you can go there today.
Okay.
We have over 70 information models already in the library. All of the companion specs are up there. Lots of companies have also started to upload their information models to the library, and if you still don't want to make your information model public, you can set up your own instance of the cloud library too. It's open source, it's on
Okay.
GitHub, and you can just create your own instance
Your
of it
private
in your
somehow.
own private network.
Okay, that's cool. So I can just, after our talk, I can just go over and see in the web browser what is in the library up there.
Exactly, yeah,
That's
and
cool.
access is easy, as you can see, and if you're integrating this into your own products, we have two interfaces. We have a REST interface and a GraphQL interface. Those are kind of the most popular these days, and it's very easy to add it into existing products. We also have samples, of course, open source, to show how to access it and so on. There's an SDK, so it's really a one-stop shop for your information model needs.
Cool, sounds really great. I love that everything sounds so easy up here and also easy to access right here.
Yeah, I mean, we started really 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
When SESMI, which is an institute in the United States, they're Department of Energy funded. They came to us and said we want to integrate OPC UA also in the cloud, into their own cloud platform that they have, the Smart Manufacturing Innovation Platform. And we created this joint working group in the OPC Foundation and
great.
SESMI and the OPC Foundation, together with many other partners, including Siemens and others, then created the cloud library. And the specifications are available, right? They're all standardized, and again, it's part of the OPC standard, right?
Yeah,
So
great.
it's a set interface. It's not going to change again, and we keep adding new features, of course, and making it easier. For example, you can see here, you can browse the information models that are in the library now.
Yeah,
so you don't even
and
need a
simply
client.
download it, right?
Yeah, you can just download it straight from the library here
That's
by
great.
pushing the button.
Okay, cool.
And then load the information model into your OPC server.
Yeah, cool. Bringing all the different pieces together in one. That sounds great.
Exactly.
And where does it go next? How do you develop further with the library?
So one of the big things in need today is creating digital twins of industrial assets, right? So
Yeah.
in my opinion, OPC UA is a great technology to create industrial digital twins. So you're going to need the information model for that. So the
Exactly,
cloud
yeah.
library is a great product that can be used to add digital twin technology to your portfolio. The industrial metaverse, of course, is also very popular right now, and creating industrial metaverse applications is something that a lot of folks also struggle with. So
Yes.
the cloud library is a very easy to use interface to access those digital twins and then create a metaverse from them.
Yeah, as you said, it might be a bit scary for some people out
Well,
there because it's still, a mysterium for some people out there.
It's-
But is it already, can I, for example, already take it today, the library, and do that and put it in an industrial metaverse and experience that?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
that-
at Microsoft we have our first customers that have this in production.
Cool.
And it works great, right? So if it's an oil rig, or if it's a remote production site, a carbon capture storage facility, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
people want these virtual realities, so they don't have to go there
Yeah.
by themselves, right? Because it's usually very expensive or takes a long time to get there. If something breaks, you want to
Yeah.
be able to get there as quickly as possible. So the industrial metaverse is made for
for that, and it's very easy to use because you see in a virtual world what you usually physically see in the physical world.
In the real
so
world,
it's very easy to use, great experience,
Yeah.
and a lot of people prefer that to a two-dimensional dashboard.
Yeah. Wow. Great, big topic, big future topic. I'm so excited to see what's coming there and to see how this comes together. What else can we see here? What else can you tell me about the area here?
Well, another important piece that we added is the Cloud Federation. So if you can think about pops up messages, of course, every machine can send data to the cloud for analysis, but for the integrators and the component manufacturers, there's really no solution and how they can share their data with their customers. So we invented Cloud Federation to solve that problem. We sometimes call it the sensor problem, where a sensor is part of a controller and a controller is part of a machine, and then the machine sits on a production floor. So there's many different parties that want to get access to the sensor data, and you don't really want to send the same data 4 times to the cloud. You want to send it once and then federate that sensor data in the cloud from cloud to cloud. So that's what Cloud Federation does for you. And what we've done,
then.
so what we've done is we've actually enhanced the MQTT broker functionality with mutual authentication and also tagging the messages to basically tell people where they can send it or where they can't, right? So it's all about authentication and sharing of data in a secure environment, and Cloud Federation has solved that problem. And it's probably going to end up in part 14 of the OPC Foundation specification.
Okay. Yeah. I would say rather from sensor problem to sensor solution, right?
Hopefully, yes. Yeah. Hopefully it's the solution.
Great. Yeah, cool. Yeah, really nice. I'm so impressed by so many great inputs that we had here. Do you have anything to add that you want to share with us, or?
Well, I'm very excited about especially digital twin technology and working with the Digital Twin Consortium. It's great that we finally have a place where the OPC Foundation and other institutes like SESMI can meet to build these digital twin solutions. So I think really that's the next frontier. It's a super exciting field, and I'm glad that OPC UA is the base technology for all of it.
Wow, that was the perfect ending for this part. Thank you so much, Eric, for giving insights into that. Super exciting to see how OPC in the cloud is gonna evolve and develop in the future. Thank you for that. Now, for the last part, I think, because I see a lot of partners around here, and we have already seen that the OPC Foundation is all about partnerships, about collaboration, and bringing this innovative spirit together into the future. So now let's see and let's get to know the other partners as well and what they have to or want to share with us. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Now let's hear what all the partners have to say and what they are actually working on here and what the future brings with them. I am here at the first partner pod with Matthias from Unified Automation. Great to have you here and to meet you here.
Thank you.
So I'm quite curious to find out from you as the first ones, what are OPC UA related products from Unified Automation?
Yeah, we have like 2 types of products. One is mainly to help our customers to develop OPC UA products.
Okay.
So we are a technology provider to provide like tooling for development in different programming languages and different platforms. So we have tools that work from like little sensor applications up to IT level.
Okay.
So we have different tools for different levels and programming languages, but we also offer like consulting and training. So the full package to help our customers to build OPC UA into their automation products.
Okay.
And the second part is that we also develop products that can be used by end users. So in combination with these products developed by our customers, and mainly to fill gaps and have fulfill special needs. Like we have a product called UA Gateway that is mainly used in the past for migrating classic OPC older versions to OPC UA.
Okay.
But it's also used to aggregate data from different data sources to have a single point of access. Or a new product that we just released for this show here is a UA GDS for security management in OPC UA.
Okay.
And we have also tools called UA Expert that is used by a lot of people to either during development to test their service as a generic client, or to also test products that are installed in the field and check if they're working.
Okay, sounds quite interesting, and a huge range that you offer there. When it comes to OPC UA FX, what we heard before, do you also are involved in this and contribute to that?
Yeah, this is one of the new things that we worked on for our development tools. We have like a tool chain where people can build like information models for OPC UA in a modeling tool. They can generate code to build a FX automation component, and then we have, in combination with our libraries, they can implement the OPC UA interface for their devices to create an automation component. And then we also extended our UA expert with some FX connection management functionality for testing the features. So we prepared a full package, and with the release of the specification now we will also release these development tools, upgrades to have full support for the FX functionality.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And you also touched upon the topic of security, and that's one of your newest products, right?
Yeah, that's OPC UA security is very important topic since very first days of OPC. But it's now with the configuration was so far always, let's say, manual. It's like, you know, from a mobile phone, you store your fingerprint on the mobile phone to access it.
Yeah.
And that was similar. So you had to store the fingerprints of the client applications on the servers.
Okay.
And you can imagine if you have one client that wants to connect to one server, you can store the fingerprint.
Yeah.
But if you have 100 clients that want to connect to thousands of servers, you cannot
100
do that anymore.
fingerprints.
and so you need some centralized management for that. And that's what this GDS functionality provides as standardized by OPC UA. And we have integrated that in our toolings development libraries already a while ago, because the feature needs to be provided or integrated into the products. And now we released this central component that is doing the management.
Oh, yeah.
And so the key features are that you can manage the trusted applications. So you can say this set of clients and this set of servers, devices are allowed to talk to each other. So that can be managed. So the applications are registered there, so they are known. And then they get like an ID card. So if you work for a company, when you start on the first day, you get an ID card to enter the building. And that's a similar thing that the GDS is doing. The admin can hand out these ID cards, so to not use the fingerprint to identify one by one. The applications can identify their ID card when they connect, and so that makes the management much easier, because if an application is no longer allowed, you revoke the ID card and you can no longer enter the building. And that's the same with the GDS. It hands out these ID cards to the applications and also updates them, so they are always valid just for a certain time, so you need to distribute updates, and this is all automatically managed by this component.
Great. Sounds quite easy to me as well, and it's great to see that it's actually happening, because security is a huge topic and important for every one of us.
And the important thing with the security is you need to have it manageable, because otherwise it's just not used.
Exactly, that's the main part. So can we see it somewhere here or experience
it? Yeah, sure. We have different deployments. So one is just what we have released is just a Windows setup, but we have also deployments, for example, for Siemens Industrial Edge. And we have a demo here, so I can show you something.
Let's go over there, right? Okay.
So this is what I explained with the different applications. So you have OPC UA clients that want to connect to PLCs, but also, and this is especially where the number is growing a lot. If you go to the device level, you have many devices connected to the PLCs, and then many PLCs connected like to the clients. So you have a growing number of applications down here that need to be managed. And since there is typically some trust chain that is coming from the IT or from cloud applications, edge device is a very good place to deploy such a GDS. And that's why we are partnering with Siemens to have the Siemens Industrial Edge as one of the deployment platforms for this GDS application.
Okay.
And so this is a very good example of how this big picture will grow and grow, and with the many more applications coming, especially with OPC UA FX. If you have device level communication, then you need really decentralized management.
So we will see further applications in the future, right?
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you, Matthias, so much for giving us insights into that, for having a short chat here.
You're welcome.
Now let's see what the other partner pods are presenting here at the Fair booth at the SPS. Thank you, Matthias. See you later. Well, now I feel like a really authentic reporter right here. Now I'm here with Christian from Siemens. What is your stake on the OPC UA topic?
OPC UA is very important. So for us, the slogan from Siemens is smart, semantic. This is very important, OPC UA. And we can offer one network for everything. That means on the lower level you have Profinet, and above you have OPC UA. At the moment we are focusing with client server. And up to the cloud, we have solutions with MQTT. And in the future, in the near future, we will also support OPC FX.
Great, looking forward to it. Thank you, Christian. So on to the next one. I have Puru from ProSysOPC. Now, what is your stake here? What are you doing when it comes to OPC UA?
Well, we have been member of OPC Foundation since the OPC Classic times, but we have also had one of the first OPC UA SDKs or toolkits for the OPC UA development, which released for Java 2010. And since that, we have offered both toolkits and services for OPC UA development.
Great, thank you. Alex from Matrikon, what are you doing here and what are you showing when it comes to OPC UA?
First of all, hi. Yeah, here we are presenting here our two products, Matrikon DataBroker, which is an OPC UA gateway, which comes with a lot of features like data modeling, data mapping, and also publishing to cloud. And the other product is our SDK, is a C++ development kit for OPC UA stack. And this is what we are here promoting.
Great, thanks for sharing. Now I have Art here from Takebishi. What are you doing in the area of OPC UA?
Takebishi is a Japanese company, so we provide solutions for industrial communication. We are a member of the OPC Foundation, so our products that make the communication between the factory floor, like the PLCs, the robots and the sensors, and they pick up that data and they translate it into OPC UA protocol, and then that data is sent to a higher level, to a SCADA environment. And via that SCADA environment, you're able to analyze all that data. And we have products for a server, for Windows solution, and we have a product for Linux solution. We have software solutions and hardware products. And we work very closely together with a SCADA supplier from the US named Iconics.
Great, thanks a lot. Hi Paul, welcome from Rockwell Automation. Now, what are you doing in the area of OPC UA here?
Well, as a company, our focus on OPC UA isn't as a technology, it's as an enabler for the connected enterprise, the ability to deliver actionable information to our users so that they can improve the sustainability, the productivity of their operations. We see OPC UA's primary importance being to do so in an open ecosystem with multiple vendors, all providing information to that connected enterprise. So that's our focus on OPC UA, to provide to enable the valuable insights of the connected enterprise.
Great, thanks a lot. Hi Michael from Logiccloud, nice to have you here. What are you doing in the area of OPC UA?
We have an all-in-one automation platform where we have PLC in the cloud and on the edge device. We use OPC UA over MQTT and OPC UA locally to connect to the field devices, and then we can control them from the cloud.
Cool, thanks for sharing. So hi Christopher from Softing. Now what are you doing in the area of OPC UA?
Softing Industrial is OPC Foundation member since its beginning. OPC UA Technology is one of our core competencies. And we can group our standard products into two categories. A, we offer SDKs, OPC UA SDKs, for those who want to develop their own client or server applications. And B, we have standard gateways, hardware, software, to connect to PLCs, sensors, actors without OPC UA interface and make machine and device data available via an OPC UA server interface.
Sounds great. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. Hi, Felix, here for Paessler. What are you doing in the area of OPC UA?
Yeah, we from Paessler have a monitoring software. It's called PATG. And with PATG, we can monitor the IT as well as the OT infrastructure. And especially with the OPC, we can monitor OPC UA devices and also deliver the data to like a SCADA system or DCS system with PATG.
Great, thanks for sharing. Hi, Arthur from IPCOMM. Nice to have you here. What are you doing in the area of OPC UA?
Yeah, we are a manufacturer of industrial universal communication gateways. And we are physically able to convert data between different protocols, also OPC UA, or including OPC UA. So our devices are used in many different kind of applications, like power, business, water, gas, and so on.
Great, thanks for sharing. Now I have Pierre from ProSyst right next to me. Now tell us, what are you doing?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Pierre Rodriguez from ProSyst company. We are a company based in France, and we are OPC Foundation member for a few years now. And we are here to promote a solution called UDC. UDC means Unified Data Collector, and it's a software solution dedicated to collect, structure, and publish industrial data to any applications. It is a solution very simple to set up, it is secure also, and really scalable for a wide deployment. So at today, UDC is deployed worldwide with more than 1,000 instances. So it is great, and if some clients, industry clients, are hearing us today, they don't have to hesitate to contact me and contact us. So ProSyst company, Pierre Rodriguez.
Great, thanks a lot for sharing. So hi, Anne from AutomationML. Nice to have you here. Now tell us, what are you doing in the area of OPC UA?
Yeah, we are cooperating with the OPC UA in the direction of interoperability. Our main aim as AutomationML is to cover the engineering data of a production system, while OPC UA or OPC in general is looking on the runtime data. And what we together are doing is trying to ensure that they are interoperable, integrated in the asset administration shell, as one example, so that we can enable the customers, the users at the end, to use them seamlessly for them in the most easy way. It looks very easy, but from outside, but from inside it's more difficult than it sounds yet, but we are in a very good way, and we are thinking that within the next 1-2 years we can provide cooperatively solutions which can be accepted in the market.
Great, I'm excited for that. Thanks a lot. Now I have Ole from Kepware right next to me. Ole, what are you doing with OPC UA?
What are we doing with OPC UA? We are a platform that do industrial connectivity, and we have been working with OPC UA since 2012-13. We have been providing OPC UA solutions to all our customers, industrial customers, and we are now working on implementing all the new companion standards, support for them, etc.
Great, thanks a lot for sharing. Hi, Christian from Leuze. Now, can you tell us, what are you doing in the area of OPC UA?
We're using OPC UA for implementing our so-called dual channel principle. We have a fast process interface, and on the other hand, OPC UA as a standardized diagnostic interface, which makes us very flexible and has many benefits for our customers.
Great, thanks a lot. Cool.
It's a wrap. Now, I have learned a lot about the different colleagues I met today when it comes to industrial communication. And one of my key takeaways is that communication definitely is key, not only when it comes to human and people, we all need it every day, but also when it comes to the industry. And what I also see is that there are still many challenges that are also coming up in the future, but it's great to see that we all try to solve it collaboratively within one community what is happening here at the OPC Foundation. So now let's join forces and try to solve these challenges together, put our innovative spirit together and see what we can bring to the world. See you.